The luxury farmer's market freezes when a filthy street boy with a strange broken star mark on his collarbone approaches Jennifer Marshall with unnerving certainty. "Your son will die today," he announces, eyes fixed on 7-year-old Ethan. Drowning, blue water pool, white wall around it. Jennifer recoils in horror. "How dare you? Security!" The boy doesn't move as a guard approaches. "When it happens, find the boy with the broken star. Only I can bring him back." As he's dragged away, he shouts one final time, "You have until sunset to believe me." Jennifer, trembling, embraces Ethan, trying to forget the warning. But hours later, when the phone rings with news from the neighbor's house, she realizes ignoring those words was the worst mistake of her life. The morning sun cast a golden glow over Highland Grove Farmers Market, where vendors arranged their colorful produce in perfect rows. This wasn't just any farmer's market. It was the place where the elite of Westwood Hills came to flaunt their wealth under the guise of supporting local agriculture. Jennifer Marshall, with her designer sunglasses perched atop her perfectly highlighted blonde hair, navigated through the crowd with her 7-year-old son Ethan trailing behind her. At 39, Jennifer had mastered the art of looking important without trying. Her Louboutin heels clicked rhythmically against the cobblestone path as she approached her favorite organic vendor. "Excuse me," Jennifer's voice cut through the ambient chatter. "These tomatoes can't possibly be organic. Look at how perfect they are." She picked one up, examining it with suspicion. "I've been buying organic for years, and they always have imperfections." The vendor, a middle-aged man with sun-weathered skin, sighed. "Ma'am, I've explained this every Saturday for the past month. They're a new variety that's naturally resistant to—" "I want to speak to whoever's in charge," Jennifer interrupted, placing the tomato back with theatrical gentleness. "I won't be deceived into paying premium prices for ordinary produce." While Jennifer argued, Ethan wandered a few feet away, his attention captured by a small puppy another shopper had brought along. The boy's innocent laughter echoed through the market, a sound that would soon become painfully precious. "Mom, can we get a puppy?" Ethan called out, his blue eyes sparkling with excitement. "Not now, Ethan," Jennifer dismissed without looking back. "Come here and stay close." As Ethan reluctantly returned to his mother's side, neither noticed the approach of a skinny boy, perhaps 11 or 12 years old. His clothes were worn and mismatched, a faded blue t-shirt several sizes too large, hanging over torn jeans that had clearly been patched multiple times. His feet were clad in dirty sneakers with soles starting to separate, and his deep brown eyes held a wisdom far beyond his years. The boy stood silently for a moment, watching Jennifer and Ethan. Then, with surprising determination, he stepped forward. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, his voice soft, yet somehow cutting through the market noise. Jennifer turned, her expression instantly morphing from annoyance to disgust. She instinctively pulled Ethan closer and reached for her purse, assuming the boy was begging. "We don't give handouts," she said sharply. "There's a shelter on Maple Street." The boy, Tyler, shook his head. "I don't want money." His eyes shifted to Ethan, then back to Jennifer. "I need to tell you something important. Whatever you're selling, we're not interested," Jennifer replied, already turning away. "Your son is going to die today," Tyler said, his voice eerily calm. The world around Jennifer seemed to freeze. She whipped back around, her face flushing with anger. "What did you just say to me?" she hissed, stepping toward the boy menacingly. Tyler didn't back away. "He's going to drown in a swimming pool with clear blue water. There's a white wall around it." His eyes locked on Ethan. "It happens this afternoon." Jennifer's hand moved so fast that bystanders barely registered the slap until the sound echoed through the suddenly silent market. Tyler's head snapped to the side, a red mark blooming on his cheek. "How dare you?" Jennifer's voice shook with rage. "What kind of sick joke is this? Stay away from my son, you little delinquent." The vendor stepped forward. "Ma'am, please." "Did you put him up to this?" Jennifer demanded, her finger jabbing at the vendor's chest. "Is this some kind of revenge because I questioned your precious tomatoes?" "I've never seen this kid before," the vendor protested, looking as shocked as everyone else. Tyler, recovering from the slap, remained oddly composed. "Please listen," he pleaded. "You need to keep him away from water today. Just for today." "Security!" Jennifer shouted, frantically looking around. "Someone get this disturbed child away." "From us." As a market security guard approached, Tyler spoke one last time, his voice dropping to a whisper meant only for Jennifer. When it happens, find me. I can help. Look for the boy with the broken star. The guard gently but firmly took Tyler by the shoulder. Come on, kid. Time to go. As Tyler was led away, Ethan tugged at his mother's sleeve. Mom, why did that boy say I'm going to die? Jennifer knelt down, forcing a smile. He's just a troubled child saying nonsense to scare people. Don't think about it, sweetheart. She kissed his forehead. Nothing's going to happen to you. Mommy would never let anything bad happen to you. Little did Jennifer know, those words would haunt her for the rest of her life. Let's go home, she said, gathering her bags in Ethan's hand. I've completely lost my appetite for shopping. As they walked to their luxury SUV, Jennifer tried to shake off the encounter. Ridiculous, she muttered to herself. Absolutely ridiculous. But why couldn't she stop thinking about those eyes? And what did he mean by the broken star? The drive back to the Marshalls' expansive Westwood Hills home was uncomfortably silent. Jennifer's knuckles were white as she gripped the steering wheel, occasionally glancing at Ethan through the rearview mirror. The boy sat quietly in his booster seat, absent-mindedly playing with the zipper of his blue jacket. Mom? Ethan finally broke the silence. Why would someone say I'm going to die? Jennifer flinched as if she'd been struck. Ethan, honey, I told you, that boy was just trying to scare us. Some people don't have proper homes or parents to teach them right from wrong. But he looked so serious, Ethan persisted, his innocent blue eyes clouded with worry. And he knew about a swimming pool. How did he know that? Jennifer's stomach tightened. What do you mean? Brandon has a pool with a white wall, Ethan said. And I'm going to his house today, remember? The SUV swerved slightly as Jennifer's hands trembled. Brandon Thompson was Ethan's best friend who lived 3 houses down. His family had recently installed an in-ground pool surrounded by a pristine white concrete wall, exactly as the homeless boy had described. We're canceling that play date, Jennifer said firmly, her voice unnaturally high. But Mom, we've been planning it all week. Brandon's dad got new pool toys. I said no, Jennifer snapped, immediately regretting her tone when she saw Ethan's startled expression in the mirror. She softened her voice. I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm just not feeling well after what happened at the market. Maybe tomorrow, okay? Ethan slumped in his seat, lower lip trembling. You promised. The massive wrought iron gates of their property swung open automatically as they approached. The Marshalls' Mediterranean-style mansion stood proudly at the end of a curved driveway, lined with perfectly manicured topiaries. It was a monument to Michael Marshall's success as a corporate attorney and Jennifer's talent for spending his money. As they pulled into the 4-car garage, Jennifer's phone rang. The caller ID showed Michael, and she answered immediately, desperate for her husband's logical perspective. Hey, I was just about to call you, she said, forcing brightness into her voice. I'm stuck at the office, Michael replied without preamble. The Westbrook merger is falling apart. I need to fix this mess before Monday. Jennifer's heart sank. But it's Saturday. You promised to be home this weekend. What do you want me to do, Jen? Let the deal collapse? Michael's voice was sharp with stress. That's 7 figures of commission on the line. We already have. More money than we can spend, Jennifer retorted, immediately regretting the words. This was an old argument with no resolution. That's not the point, and you know it. Michael sighed heavily. Look, I'm sorry. Is Ethan there? Put him on, Jennifer handed the phone back to Ethan, who immediately brightened. Dad, when are you coming home? A pause. But you said we'd go to the batting cages. Another pause. Okay, I understand. Love you too. Ethan handed the phone back to Jennifer, his face fallen. Dad says he has to work. I heard. Jennifer ended the call without saying goodbye to Michael. Come on, let's get inside. As they entered the cool marble foyer, the house phone rang. Jennifer answered while Ethan wandered into the kitchen in search of a snack. Hello? Hi. Mrs. Marshall, it's Diane Thompson, Brandon's mom. Jennifer's pulse quickened. Oh, hi, Diane. I'm just calling to confirm that Brandon's still expecting Ethan at 2. The boys are so excited about the pool. Jennifer hesitated, suddenly feeling foolish about her fears. Was she really going to let some filthy street urchin's bizarre warning dictate her son's social life? What would she even say to Diane? Sorry, a homeless child prophesied that Ethan would drown in your pool today. Mrs. Marshall, are you there? Yes, sorry, Jennifer said. Actually, Ethan isn't feeling well. Mom, Ethan appeared in the doorway, having overheard. I feel fine. Please let me go to Brandon's. Jennifer covered the receiver. Ethan, I said. No! You never let me do anything! Ethan shouted, tears welling in his eyes. Dad's never home and you're always too busy. Brandon's the only friend I have. What's going on? Diane asked through the phone. Is everything okay? Jennifer took a deep breath. She was being ridiculous. There was no way that street boy could know anything about Ethan's plans or Brandon's pool. It was just a cruel coincidence, a sick joke that had gotten under her skin. Everything's fine, Jennifer said, making a sudden decision. Ethan just had a little tantrum. He'll be there at 2. Great. We'll keep a close eye on the boys in the pool. I know how worried you are about water safety. After hanging up, Jennifer knelt before Ethan. You can go to Brandon's, but you have to promise me something. Ethan nodded eagerly, tears forgotten. Promise you won't go in the pool unless an adult is watching you the entire time, not even to dip your toes. Understand? I promise. Thank you, Mom. Ethan threw his arms around her neck, and Jennifer held him tightly, inhaling the scent of his shampoo as if committing it to memory. As Ethan bounded upstairs to gather his swim things, Jennifer sank onto a bar stool, her mind racing. Something deep inside her screamed that she was making a terrible mistake. She dialed Michael's number again. I'm in a meeting, Jen. I need you to come home, Jennifer whispered, her voice breaking. Please, Michael. I have a really bad feeling. About today. Is Ethan okay? Michael asked, alarm creeping into his voice. He's fine, but... Jennifer hesitated. Something happened today. I need you here. You're going to have to be more specific. I can't explain it over the phone. Please, just this once. Put us first. The line went silent for so long that Jennifer thought he'd hung up. I'll be there. In an hour, Michael finally said, then ended the call. As Jennifer set the phone down, Ethan reappeared with his Spider-Man backpack and swim trunks. Ready, Mom? Can we go now? It's almost 2. Jennifer stared at her son, her miracle baby after years of fertility treatments, and suddenly couldn't breathe. What if this was the last time she saw him alive? Mom, are you crying? Jennifer quickly wiped her eyes. Just allergies, honey. Let's go. As they headed toward the door, the antique grandfather clock in the hallway struck twice. Jennifer froze, her hand on the doorknob, as the sound echoed through the house like a death knell. Jennifer's hands trembled as she pulled up to the Thompsons' Mediterranean-style mansion. Though similar to her own home in grandeur, today it felt like a fortress of doom. The white concrete wall surrounding the backyard loomed ominously, exactly as Tyler had described. Hurry up, Mom! Ethan bounced impatiently in his seat, oblivious to his mother's distress. Brandon said his dad got a new floating basketball hoop. Ethan, Jennifer gripped her son's shoulders, her eyes intense. Promise me again, you won't go near that pool without an adult watching you. Ethan rolled his eyes. I promised already. Can I go now? Jennifer reluctantly released him. I'm going to wait here until your father arrives. He should be here any minute. Whatever, Ethan mumbled, already halfway out of the car. Bye, Mom. Jennifer watched as her son bounded up the steps where Diane Thompson waited at the door. The women exchanged waves, and Jennifer forced a smile that felt more like a grimace. Instead of driving away, Jennifer parked across the street. She pulled out her phone to call Michael again, but hesitated. What would she even say? That she was terrified because a filthy street urchin had made an impossible prediction? Michael would think she'd lost her mind. This is ridiculous, she muttered to herself. Everything's fine. Diane's watching them. The boys will be supervised. Still, she couldn't bring herself to leave. She sat in her SUV, staring at the house, jumping at every sound. 20 minutes passed, then 45. Her phone rang. Michael, I'm stuck in traffic, he said without preamble. Some idiot jackknifed his trailer on the freeway. Where are you? Outside the Thompsons, Jennifer admitted. I dropped Ethan off, but I can't bring myself to leave. Because of this bad feeling you mentioned? Michael sounded both concerned and exasperated. What exactly happened today? Jennifer took a deep breath. A homeless boy at the farmer's market told me Ethan was going to drown today in a pool with blue water and a white wall. Exactly like the Thompsons' pool, Michael. He couldn't have known about their pool, or that Ethan was going there today. The silence on the other end was deafening. Michael, are you there? You're sitting outside the Thompsons' house because some street kid tried to scam you? His voice was cold. Jen, do you hear yourself? He wasn't asking for money. He was warning. Me? Right? Because street kids have psychic powers now. Michael sighed heavily. Go home. Take a Xanax. I'll pick Ethan up on my way back. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. This is exactly why I work so much. Every time I leave you alone, you spiral into these bizarre anxieties. Remember when you were convinced Ethan had a brain tumor because he had headaches? Or when you thought our housekeeper was poisoning your food? That's not fair, Jennifer whispered, tears welling in her eyes. This is different. It's always different, Michael said tiredly. Look, I have to go. The traffic's moving. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The call ended, and Jennifer sat in stunned silence. Was Michael right? Was she being irrational? She glanced at her watch. Ethan had been at Brandon's for over an hour with no incidents. Just as she was about to start the car, Jennifer noticed movement at the Thompsons' front door. Diane emerged, phone pressed to her ear, and walked hurriedly toward her garage. Moments later, she pulled out in her Mercedes and sped down the street in the opposite direction. Jennifer frowned. Had Diane left the boys alone? Surely not. Brandon's father must be home. But a nagging doubt pushed Jennifer out of her car and toward the house. She rang the doorbell several times. No answer. She tried calling Diane's cell. Straight to voicemail. Hello? Jennifer called, knocking loudly. Is anyone home? Silence. Heart racing. Jennifer tried the door handle. Locked. She moved around to the side gate that led to the backyard. It swung open easily. Hello? She called again. Brandon? Ethan? Mr. Thompson? The only sound was the gentle splash of water and children's laughter from the backyard. Jennifer followed the curved path around the side of the house, relief washing over her as she heard the boys playing. She'd been silly to worry. Then she rounded the corner, and her world shattered. Brandon sat alone at the edge of the pool, playing with a remote-controlled boat. Of Ethan, there was no sign. Brandon! Jennifer's voice was shrill with panic. Where's Ethan? Brandon looked up, surprised. Hi, Mrs. Marshall. My mom had to go to the pharmacy to get my grandma's medicine. My dad's inside on a call. Where's Ethan? Jennifer screamed, rushing to the poolside. Brandon's face crumpled in confusion. He was just here. We were playing with... Jennifer's eyes scanned the glistening blue water and stopped at a small, dark shape at the bottom of the deep end. Time seemed to slow as her brain processed what her eyes refused to accept. Ethan! The scream tore from her throat as she dove into the pool fully clothed, designer heels and all. The water muffled the world as Jennifer clawed her way downward. Ethan's small body lay motionless on the pool floor, his blue swim trunks billowing around him like a sad flag of surrender. His eyes were open, staring upward, unseeing. Jennifer's lungs burned as she grabbed her son and pushed off the bottom with all her might. Breaking the surface, she gasped for air and dragged Ethan's limp body to the pool edge. Help! She screamed. Somebody help us! Brandon stood frozen, in terror, then turned and ran inside, screaming for his father. Jennifer hauled Ethan onto the concrete. His lips were blue, his skin pale and cold. No breath, no movement. No, 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 she moaned, beginning chest compressions. Please, baby. Please breathe. Mommy's here now. Please breathe for Mommy. Distantly, she heard shouts as Brandon's father burst from the house, phone in hand, already calling 911. What happened? He demanded, kneeling beside them. I was on a conference call. I thought Diane was watching them. Jennifer couldn't answer, couldn't stop compressions. Water dribbled from Ethan's mouth, but he remained terrifyingly still. The ambulance is coming, Mr. Thompson said, his voice shaking. Keep going. Don't stop. Jennifer had no intention of stopping. She would breathe life back into her son or die trying. Each compression felt like it was breaking her own heart, rather than pumping Ethan's. Please, she sobbed, bending to breathe into his mouth. Please, God. I'll do anything. Take me instead. Please. In the distance, sirens wailed. But to Jennifer, the only sound was her own desperate pleas and the terrible silence where Ethan's laughter should have been. The world narrowed to her son's face, those blue lips, the dark lashes resting against colorless cheeks. The street, boy's warning echoed in her mind. Your son is going to die today. No, Jennifer whispered fiercely between compressions. I won't let you take him. As the paramedics rushed through the gate, Jennifer looked up with eyes wild with grief and determination. "Save him," she commanded. "You have to save my baby." The wail of sirens cut through the peaceful suburban afternoon as the ambulance tore through Westwood Hills. Inside, Jennifer knelt beside the stretcher where paramedics worked frantically over Ethan's small, motionless body. BP's dropping. "No. Spontaneous respiration," one EMT called out, his voice clinically detached. Starting another round of epinephrine, Jennifer watched, numb with horror, as a needle pierced her son's pale skin. The ambulance jostled, and she braced herself against the wall, never taking her eyes off Ethan's face. His lips remained blue, his skin ashen. Will he? She couldn't form the words, couldn't face the possibility. "We've got a faint heartbeat," the female paramedic announced, her eyes meeting Jennifer's briefly. "But he's not breathing on his own. We're 5 minutes out from Mercy General." Jennifer nodded mechanically, her designer clothes still dripping pool water onto the ambulance floor. She reached for Ethan's hand. So small, so cold. This couldn't be happening. Just hours ago, he'd been laughing, excited about playing with his friend. How had she let this happen? The street boy's face flashed in her mind, his solemn eyes, the certainty in his voice. "Your son is going to die today." "No," Jennifer whispered, squeezing Ethan's hand. "You fight, do you hear me? Mommy's here. You have to fight." Her phone buzzed. "Michael, Jen, where the hell are you? I'm at the Thompsons and there's police tape everywhere." "Ethan," her voice broke. "He drowned, Michael. We're in an ambulance heading to Mercy General. They got his heart beating, but he's not breathing on his own." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. "This isn't happening," Michael finally said, his voice hollow with disbelief. "This can't be happening." "The boy at the market," Jennifer whispered. "He knew, Michael. How could he have known?" "I don't care about some goddamn street kid right now," Michael shouted, then immediately softened. "I'm sorry. I'm on my way. I'll meet you at the hospital." The ambulance screeched to a halt at the emergency entrance. The back doors flew open, and a team of doctors and nurses swarmed around Ethan's stretcher. Jennifer struggled to keep up as they wheeled him through sliding glass doors. 7-year-old male, submersion incident, down for approximately 15 minutes before CPR was initiated. The paramedic rattled off. Asystole in the field. Got return of circulation after 3 rounds of epi. Current GCS3, pupils fixed, and dilated. Trauma Bay 1, a doctor ordered, her voice sharp with urgency. "Get respiratory in here now. I want a blood gas and start cooling protocol." Jennifer tried to follow, but a nurse gently held her back. "Ma'am, you need to let them work. Come with me to fill out some paperwork, and we'll get you some dry clothes." "No, I need to be with him," Jennifer protested, struggling against the nurse's firm grip. "He needs his mother. The best thing you can do for your son right now is to let our team work without distraction," the nurse said kindly but firmly. "Every second counts." Defeated, Jennifer allowed herself to be led to a small private waiting room. Someone handed her scrubs to change into. Someone else asked for insurance information, allergies, medical history. Jennifer answered robotically, her mind still in that pool, watching Ethan's body floating lifelessly. Michael burst into the waiting room, his normally impeccable appearance disheveled, his face gray with shock. "Where is he? What are they saying?" Jennifer stood on shaky legs and collapsed into her husband's arms. "They're working on him. That's all I know. Michael, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to that boy. I should never have let Ethan go to Brandon's." Michael held her tightly, his body trembling. "Don't. This isn't your fault. Kids drown all the time, even with supervision. Brandon's father should have been watching them, but the boy at the market warned me specifically," Jennifer insisted, pulling back to look into Michael's eyes. "He said Ethan would drown today in a pool with clear blue water and a white wall, exactly like the Thompsons. How is that possible?" Before Michael could answer, a doctor entered the waiting room. Her face was grave and Jennifer's heart plummeted. "Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, I'm Dr. Reeves, head of pediatric critical care." "Our son," Michael said, his voice cracking. "Is he?" "Ethan is alive," Dr. Reeves said, and Jennifer sagged with relief. "But I need to be very clear about his condition. It's extremely critical." The doctor gestured for them to sit. "We've managed to stabilize his heart rhythm, but he's on full life support. His brain was deprived of oxygen for a significant amount of time." "What does that mean?" Jennifer asked, though part of her didn't want to know. "It means we're seeing minimal brain activity. Dr. Reeves said gently. We've initiated therapeutic. Hypothermia to reduce swelling and potential damage. But I have to prepare you. If Ethan survives, he may have severe neurological impairments. If? Michael repeated, his voice hollow. What do you mean, if? The next 48 hours are critical, Dr. Reeves explained. His body has suffered tremendous trauma. Multiple organ systems are compromised. Jennifer felt the world tilting beneath her. I want to see him. We're setting him up in the PICU. A nurse will come get you in about 20 minutes. Dr. Reeves hesitated. I should warn you, he's connected to many machines. It can be overwhelming. After the doctor left, Jennifer and Michael sat in stunned silence. The weight of what was happening, what might happen, was too enormous to process. I need to find that boy, Jennifer said suddenly. Michael blinked at her, uncomprehending. What boy? The street child who warned me. He said Ethan would die, but then he said, when it happens, find me. I can help. What if he can help Michael? What if he knows something? Jen, you're not thinking clearly. That's impossible. Then how did he know about the drowning? Jennifer's voice rose hysterically. How did he describe the exact pool? He said to look for the boy with the broken. Star, I need to find him. Your son is fighting for his life, Michael said harshly. And you want to chase after some street psychic? Have you lost your mind? Jennifer recoiled as if he'd struck her. I will do anything, to save our son. If that means believing in the impossible, then that's what I'll do. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, you can see your son now. Following the nurse through sterile hallways, Jennifer steeled herself. Nothing could have prepared her for the sight of Ethan, her vibrant, laughing boy, lying motionless beneath a tangle of tubes and wires. His small chest rose and fell mechanically with the ventilator's rhythm. Jennifer approached the bed slowly, as if in a nightmare. She gently touched Ethan's cheek, now cold from the cooling treatment. Mommy's here, baby, she whispered. Mommy's not going anywhere. She looked up at Michael, standing frozen at the foot of the bed, tears streaming down his face. I'm going to find that boy, she said with quiet determination. As soon as you're ready to stay with Ethan, I'm going to find him. Michael opened, his mouth to argue, then closed it, defeated by the fierce resolve in his wife's eyes. Just don't leave him, he whispered. Not yet. 36 hours had passed since Ethan's accident. 36 hours of beeping monitors, hushed medical consultations, and the mechanical whoosh of the ventilator breathing for her son. Jennifer sat beside Ethan's bed, her hand resting gently on his arm, careful not to disturb the IV lines that snaked into his fragile skin. His EEG shows minimal improvement, Dr. Reeves had said during morning rounds, her voice carefully neutral. But he's still deeply comatose. The next few days will tell us more about potential brain function. Jennifer had nodded, the words washing over her like waves against a shore already eroded by grief. She understood what the doctor wasn't saying. Ethan might never wake up, might never be the same if he did. Michael paced the small PICU room, his phone pressed to his ear as he spoke in hushed tones with his office. Even now, he couldn't disconnect completely from work, his way of maintaining control when everything else was spiraling away from him. I need to go, Jennifer said suddenly, standing up. Her legs felt wooden, numb from sitting for so long. Michael covered the phone. Go where? To find the boy who warned me. It's been nearly 2 days, Michael. Nothing's changing. We need to try something. Anything. Michael's face hardened. This isn't the time for wild goose chases, Jen. Ethan needs you here. Jennifer looked down at her son, so still and pale against the white hospital sheets. Ethan needs help that the doctors can't give him. That boy said he could help. He knew this would happen. This is insane, Michael hissed. You want to leave our critically ill son to search for some street urchin who made a lucky guess? Lucky guess? Jennifer's voice rose. He described the exact pool, Michael. He knew exactly how Ethan would die. Ethan is not dead, Michael snapped, loud enough that a nurse glanced through the glass window. Jennifer took a deep breath, steadying herself. I'm going to find him. You can stay with Ethan. Call me if anything changes. Without waiting for Michael's response, she grabbed her purse and walked out, ignoring his angry whispers behind her. In the elevator, she pressed her forehead against the cool metal wall and tried to think clearly through the fog of exhaustion and despair. Where would she even begin looking for the boy? The farmer's market where they'd met was only open on Saturdays. 4 long days away. She had no name, no address, only a cryptic mention of the boy with the broken star. The elevator doors opened to the hospital lobby, and Jennifer stepped out, feeling like a sleepwalker in a nightmare. She'd barely eaten or slept since the accident, surviving on vending machine coffee and the occasional protein bar Michael forced on her. Outside, the afternoon sun seemed offensively bright. Jennifer slipped on her sunglasses, shielding her swollen eyes from both the light and curious glances of passers-by. She'd once cared so deeply about her appearance, about what others thought of her. Now she couldn't remember why any of that had mattered. She drove aimlessly at first, then, following some instinct she couldn't name, headed toward the downtown area where the city's homeless population was concentrated. Pioneer Park, with its sprawling lawn and public restrooms, was known as a gathering place for those with nowhere else to go. Parking her luxury SUV on a side street, Jennifer felt suddenly conspicuous in her designer jeans and cashmere sweater. She'd never ventured into this part of the city alone before. Michael had always warned her it wasn't safe. The park was dotted with small groups of people, some sleeping on benches, others clustered in quiet conversation. Jennifer approached, hesitantly, unsure how to begin. An elderly woman sat on a bench, feeding pigeons from a small paper bag. Jennifer sat beside her, hands trembling. "Excuse me," she began, her voice barely audible. "I'm looking for a boy. He's maybe 11 or 12, thin, with dark eyes. He might be wearing a large blue t-shirt." The woman regarded her suspiciously. "Lot of boys fit that description, lady. Why you looking?" "My son is in the hospital," Jennifer said, her voice breaking. "This boy, he predicted it would happen. He said he could help." The woman's expression softened slightly. "Sounds like, you mean Gabriel?" Jennifer's heart leapt. "Gabriel? Is that his name? Do you know where I can find him?" "Sometimes he stays at St. Mary's Shelter on 8th Street. Other times, who knows? Boy moves like a shadow." The woman hesitated. "They say he sees things others don't. Been that way since his mama died." "The boy with the broken star," Jennifer murmured. "What does that mean?" The woman shrugged. "Don't know nothing about no star, but if you're looking for a boy who knows things he shouldn't, that's Gabriel." Jennifer thanked her and hurried back to her car, new purpose driving her exhaustion away. St. Mary's Shelter was only a few blocks away. The shelter was a converted church, its stained glass windows casting colorful patterns on the worn linoleum. Floor inside, a middle-aged nun looked up from the front desk as Jennifer entered. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for a boy named Gabriel," Jennifer said, trying to keep the desperation from her voice. "It's urgent. My son's life depends on it." The nun's expression grew guarded. "We protect the privacy of our guests, ma'am." "I can't confirm or deny." "Please," Jennifer begged, tears spilling down her cheeks. "My 7-year-old son is on life support. This boy, Gabriel, he warned me it would happen. He said he could help when it did. Please, sister." After a long moment, the nun sighed. "Gabriel left yesterday morning. He doesn't stay in one place for long. Do you know where he might have gone? There's an abandoned building on the corner of Maple and 12th where some of the younger ones gather. But it's not safe there, especially for someone like you." Jennifer was already heading for the door. "Thank you, sister." "Wait," the nun called after her. "If you find Gabriel, be gentle. He's different. He's been through more than any child should." The abandoned building loomed like a specter against the darkening sky. Broken windows gaped like missing teeth, and graffiti covered nearly every inch of the exterior walls. Jennifer parked and sat for a moment, gathering her courage. This was madness. She was a wealthy suburban mother breaking into an abandoned building in a dangerous neighborhood to find a homeless child she believed had psychic abilities. If Michael could see her now, he'd have her committed. But the image of Ethan, small and still in his hospital bed, pushed her forward. She would walk through fire if it meant saving her son. The building's front door hung partially off its hinges. Jennifer slipped inside, the smell of urine and mildew assaulting her senses. Her eyes adjusted slowly to the dim interior, illuminated only by slivers of light through boarded windows. "Hello?" she called softly. "Gabriel, are you here? I need your help." A rustling sound came from a corner, and Jennifer whirled around, heart pounding. A small figure emerged from the shadows, and Jennifer gasped. It was him, the boy from the market. He looked even thinner now, his large eyes solemn in his dirty face. And there, half visible beneath his oversized t-shirt, was a small tattoo or birthmark on his collarbone, a star with one point missing. The broken star. You found me, Gabriel said simply, his voice soft but clear in the dusty silence. I've been waiting for you, Mrs. Marshall. Jennifer felt her knees buckle. My son, she whispered. Please, help my son. Please, Jennifer whispered again, her voice breaking. Help my son. Gabriel stepped closer, his threadbare sneakers silent on the dusty floor. Up close, Jennifer could see the exhaustion in his young face, the shadows beneath his eyes that spoke of a child who had seen too much. I can help, he said quietly, but you have to trust me. Completely. I do, Jennifer said without hesitation. 2 days ago, she would have scoffed at the idea of putting her faith in a homeless child. Now she would grasp at any thread of hope, no matter how thin. Take me to him, Gabriel said. Jennifer hesitated. The hospital won't just let me bring in a street kid? Gabriel finished for her. A flicker of something. Amusement? Hurt. Crossing his face. I know, but I need to be with him soon. The window is closing. What window? What do you mean? Gabriel shook his head. There's no time to explain everything. Just know that your son is trapped between worlds, right? Now he can still come back, but not for much longer. Jennifer felt a chill race down her spine. How do you know these things? The same way I knew he would drown, Gabriel said simply. I see things sometimes. Since my mother died when I was 5, the doctors called it trauma-induced schizophrenia. The nuns at St. Mary's called it a gift from God. He shrugged. I just call it seeing. Jennifer reached out instinctively, then hesitated, unsure if the boy would welcome her touch. I'm so sorry about your mother. Gabriel's eyes flashed with sudden vulnerability, then hardened again. Don't be. We need to focus on Ethan now. The sound of her son's name on this strange boy's lips jolted Jennifer. I never told you his name. You didn't need to, Gabriel said. Now, can you get me into that hospital or not? 20 minutes later, Jennifer pulled into the hospital parking garage, her mind racing. She had stopped at a gas station bathroom, where Gabriel had washed his face and hands as best he could. She'd also bought him a clean t-shirt and a baseball cap to cover his tangled hair. He still looked disheveled, but less obviously homeless. Here's what we'll do, Jennifer said, as they rode the elevator up to the PICU floor. I'll say you're a cousin who just arrived from out of town. Michael, my husband. He'll be angry, but I'll handle him. Just, can you tell me what you're going to do when we get there? Gabriel's face remained impassive. I need to be alone with Ethan. That's not possible, Jennifer said immediately. The nurses check on him constantly, and there are monitors and… Mrs. Marshall. Gabriel cut her off gently. Do you want your son back or not? The elevator doors opened, and Jennifer led the way through antiseptic corridors, her heart thundering in her chest. What was she doing? Bringing this strange child into her son's hospital room? Had grief driven her to madness? But when they reached Ethan's room, and she saw her son, still so deathly pale, still so unnaturally still, Jennifer knew she would try anything, believe anything, if it meant having him back. Michael stood when they entered, his face showing first confusion, then dawning anger as he recognized Gabriel. What the hell is this? He demanded, moving protectively toward Ethan's bed. Jennifer, have you lost your mind? This is the kid from the market? The one who scared Ethan with that death prediction? Michael, please, Jennifer begged. Just listen. Get him out of here, Michael snarled, pointing at Gabriel. Now, before I call security. Your son is slipping away, Gabriel said quietly, his eyes fixed on Ethan. The doctors can't see it, but I can. By tomorrow morning, it will be too late. Michael's face flushed with rage. How dare you, Michael? Jennifer's voice cracked like a whip. Our son is dying. The doctors have as good as told us that. What do we have to lose? Our dignity? Our sanity? Michael gestured wildly at Gabriel. This is a disturbed child, Jen, not a miracle worker. A nurse appeared in the doorway, alarmed by the raised voices. Is everything all right? We can't have this kind of disturbance in the PICU. Everything's fine, Jennifer said quickly. This is a family member who's come to see Ethan. The nurse looked skeptical. Visiting is restricted to immediate family only. He's my nephew, Michael said suddenly, surprising Jennifer. He just wanted to see his cousin. He cast a warning glance at Gabriel. But he's leaving now. The nurse nodded, still suspicious. Keep it down, please. Other families have critically ill children too. She left, but Jennifer knew she'd be watching. You have 5 minutes to convince me, Michael told Gabriel, his voice low. "Why should I believe you can help when a team of specialists can't? Because I've done it before," Gabriel said simply. "Last year, a girl fell from a fire escape. Brain damage, just like Ethan. The doctors gave up. I helped her find her way back." "And she recovered?" Jennifer asked eagerly. A shadow crossed Gabriel's face. "Partially. She can walk and talk now. She remembers her parents. The doctors called it a miracle. Or coincidence," Michael muttered. But Jennifer could see his resolve wavering. "I need 10 minutes alone with Ethan," Gabriel said. "No longer." "Impossible," Michael said immediately. "Those monitors are keeping him alive." "I won't disconnect anything," Gabriel promised. "But what I need to do, it's private, sacred." Jennifer placed her hand on Michael's arm. "Please, Michael, we've tried everything else." After a long, tense moment, Michael nodded curtly. 10 minutes. We'll be right outside. And if those monitors so much as beep wrong, we're coming back in." Relief flooded Jennifer. "Thank you." As they stepped into the hallway, Jennifer caught a glimpse of Gabriel moving to Ethan's bedside, his small hand reaching out to touch the comatose boy's forehead. Then Michael closed the door. "This is insane," he whispered harshly. "Absolutely insane." "I know," Jennifer admitted. "But he knew, Michael. He knew about the drowning before it happened. How is that possible unless he has some kind of gift?" Michael ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "Even if, and that's a massive if, this boy has some kind of psychic ability, that doesn't mean he can heal Ethan. You're setting yourself up for more heartbreak." "I'm already heartbroken," Jennifer said quietly. "Nothing can make that worse." Inside the room, Gabriel had pulled a chair close to Ethan's bed. He sat with his eyes closed, one hand on Ethan's forehead, the other holding Ethan's limp hand. His lips moved in what might have been prayer, or perhaps something much older. "Ethan," he whispered, "I know you can hear me. I know you're scared. But it's not your time yet. Your parents need you. You need to fight your way back." The monitors continued their steady rhythm, unaffected. Gabriel frowned, concentrating harder. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the room's cool temperature. "Ethan," he called again, louder this time. "Follow my voice. I can see you. I know where you are. Come back toward the light." In the hallway, the minutes crept by agonizingly. Jennifer kept checking her watch, while Michael paced restlessly. The same nurse who had questioned them earlier passed by twice, eyeing them suspiciously. "Time's up," Michael said finally. "I'm going in." He pushed open the door just as one of Ethan's monitors began to alarm. A high-pitched beeping filled the room, and Gabriel jerked back from the bed as if burned. "What did you do?" Michael thundered, rushing to Ethan's side. "Nurse! Nurse! What the hell did you do to my son?" Michael roared, pushing Gabriel away from Ethan's bed as nurses rushed into the room. The boy stumbled backward, his thin body colliding with the wall. I was trying to get this child out of here," a nurse commanded, hurrying to check Ethan's vitals. "Security. We need security in PICU room 12. Jennifer stood frozen in the doorway, torn between rushing to Ethan's side and protecting Gabriel, who looked terrified as the medical team swarmed around the bed. "Michael, please," she begged. "Let Gabriel explain." "Explain what?" Michael snapped, his face contorted with rage. "How he made our son worse? Look at the monitors, Jen." Jennifer's gaze flew to the machines. Ethan's heart rate had spiked dramatically, setting off the alarms. But as she watched, something miraculous happened. His fingers twitched. A small, almost imperceptible movement, but a movement nonetheless. "He moved," she gasped. "Michael, did you see that? Ethan moved his fingers." Dr. Reeves pushed through the crowd of nurses, her expression taut with concern. "What happened here? Who authorized this child to be in a PICU room?" Before Jennifer could respond, 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. One of them immediately took hold of Gabriel's arm, causing the boy to flinch violently. "No, wait," Jennifer cried. "He's helping Ethan. Look, Ethan moved." "Mrs. Marshall," Dr. Reeves said firmly, "your son is having a seizure, not regaining consciousness. This is a concerning development, not a positive one." The words hit Jennifer like a physical blow. She watched as they administered medication into Ethan's IV, the monitors slowly returning to their steady, hopeless rhythm. "Get the boy out," Dr. Reeves ordered again, and this time, Jennifer didn't protest as Gabriel was escorted from the room, the brief flicker of hope extinguished as quickly as it had ignited. In the hallway, The security guards released Gabriel but remained close, watching him warily. Jennifer followed them out, leaving Michael with the medical team. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Gabriel. "I believed you." Gabriel's dark eyes met hers, intense and unafraid despite the chaos. "I wasn't finished," he said quietly. "Ethan heard me. He was trying to come back. But the doctor said it was a seizure," Jennifer replied, tears streaming down her face. "Doctors only see what their machines tell them," Gabriel said. "They can't see what I see. And what exactly do you see?" Michael's voice cut through the conversation as he emerged from Ethan's room, his face like stone. "Who the hell are you really, kid? How did you know about the pool? Why are you targeting my family?" Gabriel didn't flinch under Michael's icy glare. "I'm not targeting anyone. I'm trying to help your son before it's too late. He's stable again," Michael said through clenched teeth. "No thanks to you. The doctor says you may have set back any chance of recovery." Jennifer gasped, a fresh wave of guilt washing over her. "Michael, no, I want you to stay away from my family," Michael said to Gabriel, ignoring his wife. "If I see you anywhere near my son again, I'll have you arrested." "You don't understand," Gabriel insisted, a desperate edge entering his voice. "The window is closing. By morning, you'll be back wherever street rats like you belong." Michael cut him off. He turned to the security guards. "Take him to the shelter on 8th Street. Make sure he stays there." "Michael," Jennifer protested. "You can't do that." "Watch me," Michael replied coldly. "I've sat by for 2 days while you fell apart. I've been patient while you chased fairy tales and miracle cures. But I draw the line at letting some con artist street kid endanger our son's life." As the guards led Gabriel away, the boy looked back at Jennifer, his expression solemn. "The broken star," he called. "Remember the broken star." Once Gabriel was gone, Michael pulled Jennifer into an empty waiting room, his face flushed with anger. "Have you completely lost your mind?" he demanded. "Bringing a filthy street kid into our son's ICU room? What were you thinking?" "I was thinking that we're losing our son," Jennifer shot back. "And that boy is the only person who's offered any hope." "False hope," Michael exploded. "Based on what? Some lucky guess about a swimming pool? Open your eyes, Jen. That kid is playing you." "You weren't there at the market," Jennifer insisted. "You didn't hear how specific his warning was. This isn't a scam, Michael. Gabriel has a gift." Michael ran his hands through his hair in frustration. "Gabriel, you're on a first-name basis with him now? Do you even know his last name? Where he came from? If he has a record?" Jennifer hesitated. "No, but, well, I'm going to find out," Michael declared, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling Drake." Jennifer's stomach dropped. Drake Alvarez was Michael's go-to private investigator, a man with dubious ethics but excellent results. He'd helped the law firm dig up dirt on opposing witnesses countless times. "Michael, don't," she pleaded. "Gabriel is just a child who nearly killed our son today," Michael retorted, already dialing. "Drake? Michael Marshall. I need everything you can find on a homeless boy named Gabriel, approximately 11-12 years old, currently at St. Mary's Shelter on 8th Street. Distinguishing feature is some kind of star-shaped mark or tattoo on his collarbone." He paused, listening. "Yes, everything. Juvenile record, family history, psychiatric evaluations, the works. I need it yesterday." After ending the call, Michael fixed Jennifer with a cold stare. "Go back to Ethan. I'm going to get coffee and clear my head." Left alone in the waiting room, Jennifer sank into a chair, exhaustion and despair overwhelming her. Had she made a terrible mistake? What if Michael was right, and Gabriel had harmed Ethan rather than helped him? But she couldn't forget the certainty in Gabriel's eyes, or the way Ethan's fingers had twitched, the first movement they'd seen since the accident. Hours passed in a blur of medical updates and awkward silence between Jennifer and Michael. As night fell, Drake arrived at the hospital, a manila folder tucked under his arm. Michael immediately led him to the same waiting room, closing the door behind them. Jennifer knew she should stay with Ethan, but curiosity and desperation drove her to follow, hovering outside to listen. "The kid's real name is Gabriel Diaz." Drake's gravelly voice filtered through the door. "Mother died 7 years ago. Overdose. Father unknown. Since then, he's been in and out of the system. 5 foster homes in 3 years. Then he started running away. Been on the streets more than in homes for the past 2 years. Criminal record?" Michael asked. "Surprisingly clean," Drake admitted. "Some shoplifting, but nothing violent." The interesting stuff is in his psychological evaluations. Jennifer pressed closer to the door, straining to hear. Multiple psychiatrists diagnosed him with schizophrenia after his mother's death. He claimed he could see people's deaths before they happened. Said his mother's ghost told him he was meant to help lost souls find their way home. Michael scoffed. Classic traumatic delusion. Maybe, Drake said. But here's where it gets weird. There are 3 documented cases of Gabriel approaching people to warn them about accidents, all of which came true exactly as he described. Coincidences, Michael dismissed. Or self-fulfilling prophecies. Maybe, Drake repeated. But according to these hospital records, he's also visited 4 comatose patients over the past year. 3 of them woke up within 48 hours of his visit. A long silence followed. I need to get him away from my son, Michael finally said, his voice strained. Whether he's a con artist or genuinely disturbed, he's dangerous. Make some calls. Get him transferred to a juvenile facility outside the city. On what charges? Drake asked. I don't care, Michael replied coldly. Make something up if you have to. Just get him away from my family before he does more damage. Jennifer's hand flew to her mouth to stifle a gasp. Outside the window, thunder rumbled as rain began to fall, mirroring the storm brewing in her heart. Jennifer stood frozen outside the waiting room, her husband's words echoing in her mind. Michael was going to have Gabriel removed on false charges, a child who might be Ethan's only hope. The realization hit her like a physical blow, leaving her breathless with shock. She had always known Michael could be ruthless in the courtroom, but this was cruel, calculated, and possibly criminal. Jennifer backed away from the door as she heard chairs scraping inside, signaling the end of the meeting. Jennifer, Dr. Reeves's voice startled her. The doctor approached with quick steps, her face grave. We need you in Ethan's room. Now. Cold fear gripped Jennifer's heart. What's happened? His intracranial pressure is rising, Dr. Reeves explained as they hurried down the corridor. We're prepping him for emergency surgery to place a drain. Jennifer's legs nearly gave way beneath her. But you said he was stable. He was. The seizure seems to have triggered a cascade effect. We need to reduce the pressure immediately, or... Dr. Reeves stopped herself, but Jennifer heard the unspoken words. Or he'll die. In Ethan's room, a team of nurses worked efficiently around her son's bed, preparing equipment, checking monitors. Ethan looked smaller than ever, his skin now tinged with an unnatural gray pallor. The rhythmic beeps of his heart monitor seemed fainter, as if echoing from a growing distance. Where's Michael? One of the nurses asked. I'll find him, Jennifer said, though every fiber of her being screamed to stay with her son. She kissed Ethan's forehead, whispering, Hold on, baby. Mommy will be right back. She found Michael still in the waiting room, Drake now gone. He looked up when she entered, his expression hardening at the sight of her tear-streaked face. Were you eavesdropping? He demanded. Ethan's worse, Jennifer said, ignoring the accusation. They're taking him to surgery. His brain is swelling. The anger drained from Michael's face, replaced by naked fear. Without another word, he pushed past her, running toward their son's room. By the time Jennifer returned, Ethan was already being wheeled toward the elevator, a swarm of medical personnel surrounding him. Michael jogged alongside, his hand on the gurney rail, as if he could physically anchor his son to this world. Family can wait in the surgical floor lounge, an OR nurse instructed them, as the elevator doors closed, cutting off their view of Ethan's pale face and the breathing tube protruding from his mouth. The surgical waiting room was a sterile purgatory of uncomfortable chairs and outdated magazines. Jennifer sat rigidly, staring at the wall clock as minutes stretched into hours. Michael paced, making calls, arranging for the best neurosurgeons to consult, throwing money and influence at the problem as he always did. Neither spoke directly to the other, the weight of unspoken accusations hanging heavy between them. Finally, at 2:17 a.m., Dr. Reeves appeared, surgical cap still on her head. The exhaustion in her eyes told Jennifer everything before she even spoke. We've placed the drain and relieved the pressure, Dr. Reeves said. But I need to be honest with you. The swelling was significant, and we're seeing decreased brain activity. What does that mean? Michael demanded. Will he recover? Dr. Reeves hesitated. Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, brain injuries are unpredictable, but I think it's time to prepare yourselves. If this trend continues, we may need to discuss end-of-life decisions. The words slammed into Jennifer like a wrecking ball. End of life, her baby boy, her miracle child. The room tilted sideways, and she might have collapsed if not for the wall. Behind her, No, Michael said firmly. Absolutely not. I want another opinion. I want specialists flown in, whatever it costs. Of course, Dr. Reeves nodded, used to wealthy patients demanding miracles money couldn't buy. But sometimes, Mr. Marshall, the kindest thing we can do is let go. After she left, Michael turned to Jennifer, his face ravaged by grief and rage. This is because of that street kid. Ethan was stable until he touched him. That's not fair, Jennifer whispered. Gabriel was trying to help. Help, Michael hissed. Ethan is dying because of him, because you brought him here. The accusation stung like acid. Ethan is dying because he drowned in a pool that I let him go to, Jennifer countered, her voice breaking. A drowning that Gabriel warned me about. How can you not see that he's connected to this somehow? Connected how? As some kind of psychic? A miracle worker? Michael laughed bitterly. Wake up, Jennifer. That's magical thinking. Drake found out everything about your precious Gabriel. Want to know what his teachers say about him? Pathological liar. Attention-seeking behavior. Delusions of grandeur. Jennifer shook her head. He knew about the pool, Michael. He knew. It was a lucky guess. The Thompsons' pool is all over Brandon's social media. Anyone could have seen it. And the timing, the drowning, the white wall. Michael ran his hands through his hair, frustration radiating from every pore. I don't know. Coincidence? Or maybe the kid actually caused it somehow. Did you ever think of that? Maybe he followed you home, scouted the neighborhood, waited for an opportunity. The suggestion was so absurd that Jennifer almost laughed. A homeless 11-year-old orchestrated our son's drowning? Listen to yourself. I'm trying to be rational. You're the one putting your faith in street prophets instead of doctors. The doctors have all but given up, Jennifer cried. Gabriel is the only one who still believes Ethan can come back. He said the window is closing. By morning, enough, Michael shouted, slamming his fist into the wall. I've arranged for Gabriel to be picked up tonight. He'll be transferred to a juvenile detention center in Carson City by morning. Jennifer gasped. You can't do that. It's done, Michael said coldly. The paperwork is filed. The transport is arranged. On what charges? Trespassing. Endangerment. Of a minor. It doesn't matter. What matters is keeping him away from our son. Jennifer stared at her husband, seeing him clearly for perhaps the first time. The man she'd married, ambitious, protective, determined, had crossed a line she hadn't known existed. He would destroy an innocent child to maintain the illusion of control. I don't know you, she whispered. Michael's face softened slightly. Jen, I know you're hurting. I am too. But we need to trust the doctors, not some disturbed runaway. The doctors just told us to prepare for our son's death, Jennifer reminded him. And I refuse to accept that, Michael replied. I'm flying in a specialist from Johns Hopkins tomorrow. Dr. Langley. He pioneered a new treatment for pediatric brain trauma. If anyone can save Ethan, he can. Jennifer nodded mechanically, but her mind was elsewhere, racing through possibilities, making calculations. When Michael excused himself to make more calls, she slipped out of the waiting room. Decision made. She found a quiet corner and called St. Mary's Shelter. The night manager, a kind-voiced woman, confirmed her fears. I'm sorry, Mrs. Marshall. 2 police officers came for Gabriel about an hour ago, said there was a warrant for his arrest. Jennifer's heart sank. Did they say where they were taking him? The youth detention center downtown, I think, for processing before transport somewhere else. The poor boy looked terrified, but he went quietly. Jennifer ended the call, determination solidifying within her. She couldn't save Ethan alone, and she couldn't trust Michael anymore. She needed Gabriel, and that meant she needed help from someone who knew the system. Her thumb hovered over a contact she hadn't used in years. Carmen Rodriguez, a lawyer she'd met through charity work, who specialized in juvenile cases. It was almost 3 a.m., but this couldn't wait. By morning, it would be too late, for Gabriel and for Ethan. As Jennifer made the call, she glanced at her wedding ring, gleaming under the harsh hospital lights. Some vows, she realized, were made to be broken. Some loyalties transcended even marriage. Carmen? It's Jennifer Marshall. I need your help. It's life or death. The juvenile detention center loomed against the pre-dawn sky, a concrete fortress illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights. Inside, Gabriel sat on a thin mattress in a holding cell, knees pulled to his chest. His face remained impassive, but his eyes betrayed his fear, wide and alert, constantly scanning his surroundings. He'd been here before. Places like this were why he'd chosen the streets over the system. Better to be hungry and free than caged and fed. The guard who'd processed him had been gruff but not unkind. "Transport to Carson City leaves at 6 a.m., he'd explained. "Try to get some sleep, kid." But Gabriel had no intention of sleeping. His focus was elsewhere, stretching beyond these walls to where Ethan Marshall lay dying in a hospital bed 3 miles away. Gabriel could feel it, the way he'd felt his mother slipping away 7 years ago, the thinning connection between body and soul, the weakening tether. "Not yet," he whispered to himself. "Please, not yet." He closed his eyes, concentrating on the familiar presence that guided him in these moments, the whisper of his mother's voice. Most doctors called it a hallucination, a trauma response. Gabriel knew better. "Help me reach him," he murmured. "Help me find a way out." Across town, Jennifer paced the hospital corridor outside Ethan's ICU room. Dawn was breaking, pale light creeping through the windows. She checked her watch, 5:45 a.m. In 15 minutes, Gabriel would be on his way to Carson City, beyond her reach. Carmen Rodriguez had been clear on the phone. There was nothing they could legally do until Monday when courts opened. "I can file an emergency motion then," Carmen had said. "But tonight, with charges already filed, there's no judge who'll hear it." Michael had finally fallen asleep in the chair beside Ethan's bed, exhaustion claiming him after 36 sleepless hours. Jennifer watched him through the glass, the man she'd married, the father of her child, now a stranger using his power to crush a boy who might be their son's only hope. Dr. Reeves approached, clipboard in hand. "Mrs. Marshall, the latest scans are in." Jennifer steeled herself. "And the swelling isn't responding to treatment," Dr. Reeves said gently. "Brain activity continues to decrease. I'm so sorry, but you and your husband should prepare yourselves. The specialist from Johns Hopkins will still come, but..." She didn't need to finish. Jennifer understood the unspoken truth. It would be too late. "How long?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "It's impossible to say exactly, but at this rate, probably not beyond today." The words confirmed what Gabriel had warned. The window was closing. By morning, he'd said. Now morning had come, and Ethan was slipping away just as predicted. "I need some air," Jennifer whispered, turning away before Dr. Reeves could see her tears. She rode the elevator down to the main entrance, stepping outside into the cool morning air. The hospital courtyard was deserted at this early hour, small mercy, as she no longer had the strength to maintain the polite facade expected of a Westwood Hills socialite. "Please," she whispered to the indifferent sky. "Please don't take my son." Back at the detention center, Gabriel stood with his face pressed against the narrow window of his cell door. The corridor was empty except for a single guard at the far desk, head bent over paperwork, a half-empty coffee cup by his elbow. Gabriel had been watching the man's routine for hours. Every 45 minutes he got up to use the bathroom down the hall. He'd be due for another break soon. As if on cue, the guard stood, stretched, and glanced at his watch. He walked to Gabriel's cell, checking that the boy was still there. "Transport's arriving in 10 minutes, he said. "Get your stuff together." Gabriel nodded meekly. "Can I use the bathroom before we go?" The guard hesitated, then nodded. "Make it quick." He unlocked the cell door, and Gabriel followed him to the communal bathroom at the end of the corridor. The guard remained outside as Gabriel entered. Once inside, Gabriel moved swiftly to the small window he'd spotted earlier during intake processing. It was high on the wall, barely large enough for a child to squeeze through, with a rusted security. Great. But Gabriel had noticed something the guards had missed. One corner of the grate was completely detached from the wall, the screws having long since rusted away. Standing on the toilet, Gabriel tested the grate. With a firm push, the loose corner gave way, creating just enough space for his thin body to slip through. He glanced back at the door, knowing the guard would check on him soon. It was now or never. With a deep breath, Gabriel hoisted himself up, wiggling through the tight opening. His clothes caught on the rough metal, tearing his thin t-shirt and scraping his skin. But he pushed through the pain. Hanging momentarily from the outer ledge, he saw the empty staff parking lot below. It wasn't a short drop, but he'd survived. Worse, Gabriel let go, hitting the ground with a jarring impact that sent pain shooting up his legs. He bit his lip to keep from crying out, tasting blood. No time to recover. He had to move now, before the guard raised the alarm. Ignoring the pain, Gabriel sprinted across the parking lot toward the fence. Behind him, he heard the bathroom door slam open, followed by a shout of alarm. He ran faster than he'd ever run in his life, fueled by desperation and the certainty that if he failed, Ethan Marshall would die. At Mercy General, Jennifer sat in the hospital chapel, a place she'd never visited before, despite 5 days of practically living in the building. She wasn't particularly religious, but conventional medicine had failed Ethan. Perhaps it was time to try faith. The chapel door creaked open behind her, and Jennifer turned, expecting to see a nurse summoning her back to Ethan's room with final, terrible news. Instead, she found herself staring at Gabriel. The boy stood in the doorway, breathing hard, his clothes torn and dirty, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. He looked like he'd been through hell, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. "How?" Jennifer began, but Gabriel cut her off. "There's no time," he gasped. "Ethan's almost gone. I can feel it." Jennifer didn't question how Gabriel had found her or escaped detention. None of that mattered. "They won't let you near him," she said. "Michael has security watching the room." Gabriel's eyes darted around the chapel, landing on a small side door. "Where does that go?" "I think it connects to the main hospital. The chaplain uses it. Is there a back way to the PICU?" Jennifer nodded slowly. "Through the staff corridors." "But there are nurses, doctors." "I need scrubs," Gabriel said decisively, "and a surgical mask. Can you get them?" 20 minutes later, Jennifer guided a transformed Gabriel through the hospital's labyrinthine back hallways. The 2 large scrubs and mask effectively hid his identity, especially with a surgical cap covering his distinctive hair. Anyone passing would see only a small hospital volunteer, perhaps, or a patient being escorted to a procedure. They paused at the service elevator that would take them to the PICU floor. "Michael's there," Jennifer warned. "If he sees you, he won't," Gabriel assured her with a confidence that belied his years. "Trust me." The elevator doors opened directly onto the PICU floor. Jennifer peered around the corner toward Ethan's room. Michael was inside, arguing with Dr. Reeves while a security guard stood outside the door. "We'll need a distraction," Gabriel whispered. Jennifer thought quickly. "The medication room. If I trigger the alarm..." Gabriel nodded, understanding. "Get me as close as you can first." They moved cautiously down the hallway, Jennifer greeting nurses she recognized with forced casualness. When they were just past Ethan's room, Jennifer squeezed Gabriel's shoulder. "Be ready," she murmured, then walked purposefully toward the medication room. Inside, she located the emergency alarm and pulled it without hesitation. Immediately, lights flashed and a piercing siren wailed throughout the unit. Staff rushed, from all directions, security sprinting toward the presumed security breach. In the chaos, Gabriel slipped unnoticed into Ethan's room. Inside Ethan's room, time seemed to stand still. Gabriel moved silently to the boy's bedside, his small hand steady despite the chaos erupting in the hallway. Michael had rushed out at the sound of the alarm, leaving Ethan momentarily alone amid the forest of medical equipment keeping him technically alive. Gabriel knew he had minutes at most. He placed one hand on Ethan's forehead and the other over his heart, closing his eyes in deep concentration. The machines continued their rhythmic beeping, but to Gabriel these sounds were distant, irrelevant. What mattered was the faint flicker of life he could sense beneath his fingertips, a soul hovering at the threshold between worlds. "Ethan," Gabriel whispered, his voice barely audible above the machines. "It's Gabriel. Follow my voice. It's time to come home." In the corridor, Jennifer hovered anxiously near the nurses' station, watching the medication room where staff were investigating the false alarm. Any moment now, they'd realize there was no emergency. Any moment now, Michael or the security guard might return to Ethan's room and discover Gabriel. She caught a glimpse of Michael at the far end of the hall, deep in conversation with the head of hospital security, gesturing emphatically. Even in crisis, he was taking charge, demanding answers, unaware that his wife had orchestrated the distraction. Inside the room, Gabriel's breathing slowed, synchronizing with Ethan's ventilator. He entered the meditative state his mother had taught him years ago, before her addiction had consumed her, before the streets had become his home, the place where the veil between worlds thinned. "Ethan," he called again, no longer speaking aloud, but projecting his consciousness toward the fading presence he could sense. "Your parents are waiting. Your mother needs you." In the in-between space where Gabriel's gift operated, he could see Ethan, not the broken body in the hospital bed, but the bright essence of the 7-year-old boy, confused and frightened, drifting further from the pain of his physical form. It hurts to go back, Ethan's spirit voice whispered. I know, Gabriel acknowledged, but it hurts more to leave. Your mother will never recover if you go. How do you know? Because I've seen it, just like I saw you drowning. Gabriel extended his hand in this ethereal space. Trust me, I'll help. With the pain. In the corridor, the alarm suddenly silenced. Jennifer's heart raced as she saw medical staff returning to their stations. Michael was heading back toward Ethan's room, his face set in grim determination. Please, Gabriel, she whispered. Hurry! Inside the room, sweat beaded on Gabriel's forehead as he channeled everything he had into reaching Ethan. This was harder than the other times, perhaps because Ethan had been gone longer, perhaps because Gabriel himself was weakened from his escape and injury. I'm tired, Ethan's essence whispered. There's a pretty light ahead. I know, Gabriel answered, but there's more for you to do here. Your story isn't finished. A commotion outside the door. Michael's voice, sharp with authority. What do... You mean no one's checked on my son? There could be an intruder. Gabriel knew his time was up. With one final, desperate push, he gathered all his remaining strength and directed it toward Ethan's spirit. Come back now! The door burst open. Michael stood frozen in the doorway, rage contorting his features as he recognized Gabriel despite the surgical mask. You! He lunged forward just as the monitors connected to Ethan began to change, heart rate increasing, oxygen levels rising. Gabriel stumbled backward, exhausted from the effort, as Michael grabbed him roughly by the shoulders. Security! Michael roared. He's here! The boy is here! Jennifer pushed past him into the room, her eyes fixed on the monitors, hope blazing to life as she saw the changing numbers. Michael, look! Ethan's vitals! They're improving! Michael's grip on Gabriel loosened, slightly as his gaze darted to the screens. That's impossible. Just then, the smallest movement caught Jennifer's eye. Ethan's index finger twitching slightly against the white hospital sheet, then his eyelids fluttering like butterfly wings struggling to open. Ethan? Jennifer gasped, rushing to her. Son sighed. Baby, can you hear me? The security guard appeared in the doorway, confused by the scene before him. Dr. Reeves followed, her professional composure momentarily shattered by the sight of Ethan's apparent awakening. What's happening? She demanded, hurrying to check her patient. Gabriel sagged against the wall, spent from his efforts. His voice was barely a whisper when he spoke. He heard me. He came back. Michael still held the boy's arm, but his grip had turned uncertain, his face a battlefield of conflicting emotions. Anger, disbelief, and a fragile, dawning hope. Mom? The voice was faint, muffled by the breathing tube, but unmistakably Ethan's. His eyes opened fully, confusion giving way to recognition as he saw Jennifer. I'm here, baby, Jennifer sobbed, tears of joy streaming down her face. Mommy's right here. Dr. Reeves moved swiftly, checking pupils, reflexes, monitors. I've never seen... She composed herself with visible effort. Let me examine him properly. Everyone out except Mom and Dad. The security guard stepped forward to take Gabriel, but Michael suddenly raised a hand. Wait. His voice sounded strange, choked with emotion he rarely displayed. Let him stay. Just keep an eye on him. Over the next hour, a miracle unfolded. In room 312 of Mercy General's PICU, Ethan not only regained consciousness but demonstrated neurological function that Dr. Reeves called nothing short of miraculous. The breathing tube was removed, and though weak, Ethan could speak, could recognize his parents, could even remember the day of the accident. And the first word he spoke after the tube came out wasn't Mom or Dad. It was Gabriel. The boy still sat in the corner of the room, watched over by the confused security guard, his eyes heavy with exhaustion, but his face peaceful. When Ethan spoke his name, Gabriel smiled, the first genuine smile Jennifer had seen on his face. You found me, Ethan whispered to Gabriel, in the dark place. You showed me the way back. Michael stood by the window, watching this exchange with an expression Jennifer couldn't read. The ruthless attorney, the controlling husband, the desperate father. All these versions of Michael seemed to war within him as he observed the inexplicable bond between his son and the homeless boy he'd tried to imprison. Later, when Ethan had fallen into a natural healing sleep, Michael approached Gabriel in the corridor outside the room. What you did, he began, then faltered, words failing the eloquent lawyer. How? Gabriel shrugged, his eyes ancient in his young face. I just reminded him that his story wasn't finished. Michael nodded slowly, then did something that shocked Jennifer, who stood watching nearby. He knelt before Gabriel, bringing himself to the boy's eye level. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice rough with emotion, "for saving my son. I was wrong about you. Dangerously, terribly wrong." Gabriel didn't smile, didn't gloat, didn't demand apologies for the false charges or the detention. He simply nodded, accepting Michael's words with the gravity of someone far older. "He'll need time to heal completely," Gabriel said, "but he'll be okay now." Michael rose, glancing back at the room where his son slept peacefully for the first time since the accident. "What happens to you now? Where will you go?" Gabriel's eyes met Jennifer's across the corridor. In that moment, without words, a decision crystallized in her heart, one she'd been moving toward since that first warning in the farmer's market. "He's coming home with us," Jennifer said firmly, "if he wants to." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Gabriel's face. "I don't belong in your world." "Maybe not," Jennifer agreed. "Or maybe it's our world that needs to change."